Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Sideline to Baseline with your host, MB and K-Lou.
K-Lou.
What's going on, y'all? A tough week for me, man. A tough week. I've been crying. Me and Bron been texting, man. We're just trying to figure out what happened. Text AD, man, just making sure he doing okay, man, and wishing to congratulate Money Williams, man. What an outstanding job. Although the talk is more about what LeBron is not, I think the focus should be on Coach of the Year, Money Williams.
Well, are you looking for a hot take on that?
Oh, go ahead, man. This everybody like but by.
So I'll say this. I think Monty did an unbelievable job. There's no doubt about that. He had his guys ready. But I'll say this about they're a good team. Like people like DeAndre Ayton was the number one pick in the draft. Now he's a good player. Devin Booker is a really good player. And then Chris Paul obviously is a really good player, but he's more of a really good leader. And so you put that together. I mean, the Lakers were kind of limping in there as
absolutely
anyway. And so that was a recipe to get upset.
Right.
Well, I guess. Well, let me. That was a bad choice of words. I mean, not upset. I mean, Phoenix was the 2 seed.
Right.
So it wasn't really an upset.
Well, I mean, whoever's picking them had them as the underdog.
Well, yeah. So if you want to talk Vegas,
right.
But in terms of the records for this year, I mean, Phoenix was the 2 seed.
Right. Well, and let's face it, they definitely deserve to be. The 2 seed had an outstanding year, and they also definitely deserve to be the underdogs based upon how basketball usually works. The superstars, it's your superstars against the opposing team superstars. If they had a better superstars, 9 out of 10 in the NBA, those superstars win. So, I mean, yeah, they deserve to be the underdog, but like an underdog, they fought, they believed, and they came out victorious.
Right.
Sure. I mean, Booker we trust. His dad told him, hey, this is the time to step up in the playoff, and that dude averaged about 30 points, almost 30, a little shy under 30 points a game. Man, shoot, the last game where he had 33 points at the half, he's on fire. He was definitely a problem, man. That dude, the problem the whole series. And, man, he was getting it done. And then, like you said, man, they was a second seed for a reason. I mean, they had a really good season. They started off from last year, finished undefeated in the bubble, and they carried that momentum on. And, man, Monty Williams, man, that's my dude there, man. He did an excellent job, and they well deserved. And we knew it with the Lakers, man. Their biggest competition was health, going all season long.
Right.
I think overall, I mean, we know about AD, we know about LeBron facing injuries during the season, but I want to think somewhere they had a total of 163 games missed because of injury in some sort. And they dealt with like 5 different lineups the whole season. So that's kind of hard, And then when you basically starting over because the championship season, other than your foundational piece, right? But I mean, you don't have Rondo Roger no more. You don't have Dwight Howard. You don't have McGee. Those guys played a valuable role last year playoff time. So now, with the injuries and stuff like that, you're working in Schroeder, you're working in Montel's Harris, you're working in Drummond, you picked up on a buyout, so you're working in Marc Gasol. So it's like they hit the reset button, they had to do it all over again. That's tough, man. That's tough for any team.
It is, and you're right when you say working in, because they kind of pieced Andre Drummond in during the year.
Yep, late during the year.
Mark went to where he was playing for a little while, and they totally took him out of the lineup. They're trying to figure out the team. And, I don't think Montrezl Harrell was the signing that they were looking for. I don't think he brought them, that dog attitude mentality that he plays with, that toughness. I don't think he brought that with the Lakers. And, obviously now they're going fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think they should have, if you had to do it over, I know if was the fifth, we all be drunk, but should they have kept last year team,
Well,
as opposed to restarting?
You know what, MB, I'm gonna answer that question with, like, if you're asking the question from a GM's point of view or front office point of view, I'm not sure what their salary situation is, their contract situation. So it's hard to say that. If you're asking that question from a fan point of view and you're talking about chemistry and, guys messing together and players, well, I mean, obviously, yes. The answer would be yes. But I don't think financially they could have kept them all together.
I know it's easy to say this right now, but do you think that their current roster right now is a championship roster?
Well, obviously they got beat, so the answer is no. But I will say this: as long as LeBron's on your team, then you've got a chance to have a championship roster if his name is on the team. But like I mentioned earlier, I mean, they just never really meshed together. They never really got it going. And I had no idea about the injury history and the amount of games that you mentioned earlier. And it all caught up to them in the end.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, before we bring you in, I just want you to remember you wore that purple and gold, man. So think about that when you talk about us.
Get him, Chuck.
Well, hey, listen, man. I do what I do just to mess with Pac-Man.
See?
I spoke at the very beginning of the year and said that I thought that they made roster changes. I thought that was a mistake because they got smaller, and you make changes and you get smaller in a situation where your rest in between seasons ain't as great. You lose a little bit. And you depending on LeBron James is more closer to the end than he is at the beginning. So he needs all the help that he could possibly get. Hey, one thing that we all know, that everybody on this telecast podcast can agree to, is that Father Time ain't lost. Everybody gets injured when you play this amount of games and as much court time as LeBron James has had over the years. At some point in time, he has to break down.
Right.
And with the roster moves that they made, everybody was excited. And I was the one guy on this same podcast saying, man, y'all got to check it for a second because it ain't as good as y'all think it is. And I had people telling me that that Rob Pelinka was the GOAT and this, that, and the other. And I'm saying, hey, man, okay, it sounds good now. But we stand here today saying, okay, and I'll be the first one to say it to y'all. I did not think that the Phoenix Suns could beat the LA Lakers in a 7-game series. But confidence is a mug, and injuries all play a part in it.
Chucky, I agree with you. I didn't, and K. Lou will tell you this, I didn't pick the Lakers to win it, but I didn't think Phoenix would beat them in the first round. I agree with that. So it was, again, you can view it as an upset, or you can say the better team won because, Phoenix was the number 2 seed.
I think the better team won.
Let me ask you a question, Chucky. Right now, with this current roster, now I guess only 3 dudes are signed long-term deals, and you got AD and LeBron, and then you got Kuzma, right? I think he's the other guy. Who would you bring back? What you think they need? What's your thoughts on that? If you could be GM right now for the Lakers,
with those guys, you have your bookend guys, right? You got your LeBron James, you got your AD. So now you have to bring in guys that are cool. One, they got to be youthful and be able to get up and down the court. All right. Secondly, they got to be able to make shots and defend and be cool with playing their role. I can't sit there and say who they could possibly go out there and get, but a guy like a Kyle Kuzma, who you just gave a whole bunch of money to, who was pretty much a no-show.
Yeah. Is that me or him?
That's him. We losing.
Oh. Chuck, you breaking up, Chucky.
I'm breaking up again?
Breaking up.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and start
Hello?
over. You was
Yeah.
like you was at a drive-through.
I said
underwater.
it used to be a point in time, maybe a couple of years ago, to where everybody wanted to go play with LeBron James, right? Now you got these up and coming teams like you got your teams like your Memphis Grizzlies. You got these up and coming young teams, the Atlanta Hawks, where people are saying, you know what, I don't necessarily know if I want to go play with LeBron because he's getting older. So free agency won't be as easy as it used to be.
Well, you know me, I'm gonna step out there, Chuck. I think it is because I think the purple and gold still pull you. So I think guys will want to play for us. It's like you said earlier, though. Which guys will we get to come play for us? And that's gonna be really.
You want to see back?
What'd you say, MB?
Well, I say with the current roster, which guys you think they need to bring back?
I actually like Drummond. I know he didn't work out. But I think that had more to do with, his situation getting pulled at the end of the season. However, we're not going to be able to pay him because I think what he's going to demand is way, we're not rich enough for that. Also, Montrez, I think, getting being in the position that he was in, I don't know if him and Vogel are mixing up really, or is there that trust factor with him and the head coach? And this has been my thing with LeBron for the last 2 years. I think LeBron need to get off the ball more. LeBron need to go back. LeBron need to play in the paint. I mean, what he's doing, a lot of, Chuck attests to this. It takes a whole lot of energy doing what he's doing. And he, like Chuck said earlier, he's getting older, not younger. And him trying to be the point guard and run up and down the floor every play, that's just not feasible, man. I've been saying that for the last 2 years.
But Kevin, that's like you telling a zebra to get rid of his stripes.
Right.
Like he always played that way. So it's not gonna be a situation where he's just gonna automatically and say, hey, you know what? He ain't Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson can make that, can adapt and say, hey man, I'm gonna get off the ball. I'm gonna go to the low post. But he's not that. He's not that guy, Kevin. And it's a different style of ball. Like back when Magic played, everything was going through the low post. Everybody was posting up on that Laker team. Now you can post up and get a 2, but guess what? Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, they going down and shoot the 3.
Right. Yeah, I'm not saying he should change his game in the necessarily in the half court, but he don't need to be bringing the ball up the floor. Look, guys like yourself, that's too much energy, man, and trying to get everybody in position and talk to everybody and get everybody moving. That's too much.
Yeah, but that's who he is, Kevin. That's who he is.
I agree with Chucky there. Yeah, you're not. It's hard. It's going to be hard to change that with him. I mean, and not only is that who he is, but he's been unbelievably successful that way.
Right.
Thank you.
That's another thing that is. It's going to be hard to change that.
Well,
I like that. Charles say go to the low point. That's what I'm talking about.
well,
you gonna play point guard from the low block, Chuck.
Is that Chucky?
Yeah, I think we lose him again.
Chuck, we can't hear you again, baby. I don't know. I just think that's where, like, if they had playoff Rondo, take some of that pressure off of him,
Yeah, but MB, you say that, right? But I agree wholeheartedly with you. And it ain't even got to be that special, but he did take that pressure. he did take some of that stress and saved LeBron energy down the stretch when we really needed him to be special. And I just thought there were too many times and too often, not only during this little short, brief playoff run, I don't even know if you can call it a run, but the end of the season, guys, we asked a lot of him, and he was just trying to get back in shape again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where you hope, because it seemed to me they made the changes to get younger per se, right? You know, and you got Schroeder. I mean, but I don't know how well that worked out.
But he made him go play the two. He made him go beat Kyrie.
I mean, yeah, you need that playoff run though, baby.
You know, you're right, MB. That
told you all.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Me and you had a conversation earlier this year, and I said LeBron James' usage rate is right now for this time of the year after coming out of the bubble is way too much.
You did.
And everybody was telling me that, hey man, the guy takes care of his body so well. He does this, that, that. And I said, okay, I get all of that, but can't nobody tell you how you gonna feel the fourth game out of 5 nights. Like that's a heck of a game to get to, especially at age 30, 35. I've been there. That fourth game on the night is mean, right? I'm saying, hey man. So when he got injured, me and you, I got on the phone with you again, Kevin, and I said that's probably the best thing that happened to LeBron James.
Right.
You remember that?
Right.
And the reason I said that is because now he has an opportunity to rest and get himself ready for the playoffs.
Right.
But you guys, everybody has he has and he has to be smarter at how he uses himself throughout the 82 game grind. Now,
absolutely.
The one thing that we always give Michael Jordan credit for, what I give him credit for, is the fact that he was able to change his game from being a dominant ball guy where he's shooting the ball every time, averaging 38 points a game, to figuring it out and being smart enough to say, hey man, I'm gonna let all these other guys play the game, and when it's time to win, I'm gonna plug myself in and be the winner and be the guy that finishes the game. Can LeBron James do that? That's the $1 million question.
So Chucky, you broke up. Now, who was the guy you were who was the guy you were saying? Oh, Mike?
I was saying Michael Jordan was smart enough to understand. Mike was smart enough to understand and change his game from being that guy that was shooting the ball every night, averaging 38 points a game, to allowing those other guys to develop and become the stars that they were, and realizing that, hey man, when it's time to win the game, I'm gonna be the guy to win the game and take us over the hump. I was saying, is LeBron James smart enough? Is he smart enough to be able to make that adjustment? That's the $1 million question.
Two things I want to say. Number one, Phil Jackson helped a lot with that, Chuck, with the triangle offense. He didn't have to put the ball on the floor much at all. And then I agree. And then secondly, I never thought I'd say this before, but we need to talk to LeBron needs to make a phone call across the hall to the mother locker rooms and ask the king, right, of load management, how he doing what he doing.
They're in trouble right now.
Yeah.
They're in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, guys. Is there any question now? And I stole this from Chuck's Facebook post. Who's the GOAT now?
and you're saying in terms of, you know, what guys are you putting in that mix? Like who are you saying?
I'm just throwing out there. You know what everybody gonna go to, but I stole Chuck post, and I'm gonna answer it after y'all answer. So you go ahead. Is there any question?
To me, the GOAT has always. To me, the GOAT conversation has always been between Lou Alcindor, aka Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Michael Jordan. All right. I wanted to see LeBron in it, but you know, they were throwing his name around too loosely, and I don't think that he had put in enough work. But after last night, because you know, everybody gives their reason of why he should be the GOAT and why he shouldn't be the GOAT and why Michael Jordan shouldn't be the GOAT, and they always threw out the fact that
Chuck breaking up. Chuck, say it again. You're breaking up. Say it again. Say it again, Chuck.
Said, they always give you reasons.
Hey. Is that me? No.
You know, I'll go ahead and jump in on that. So, and I think it's an era deal. It's always an era situation. But Michael Jordan is the GOAT to me. Without a doubt, he's the GOAT. Now, that shouldn't take away from Kobe. That shouldn't take away from LeBron. I don't want to take away from those guys. But I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Now, one thing that Chucky said that I try to tell people, and I want people to put this in perspective, okay? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the best player in the world in his age group from the age of 13 to about 25 or 26. You understand how difficult that is?
Right.
You understand how hard that is? I mean, and maybe older than 26. I'm just throwing it out there. You know, I'm glad Chucky brought that up. I mean, that guy was what he was able to do in a basketball game was unbelievable. This guy went to UCLA as a freshman when guys couldn't play, when freshmen couldn't play. Their team won the national championship the year before. His freshman team beat him in the exhibition game. I mean, so that guy had an unbelievable career and talent. But I go with Michael Jordan as the GOAT.
Why you think Kareem doesn't get the recognition he deserves based on what y'all saying?
You know what, Mike? That's one thing, man, that I've always went back and forth with, and I think it's because big guys don't get that kind of. They never get that kind of respect. I mean, some guys will look at this and say, you know, it's easier for them, or the bigger guys, the game is easier, but nah, it's still tough. I mean, he deserves that type of all those accolades. I mean, I could be wrong here, guys. I don't know, but I think he's still the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, correct?
Yes, I think points-wise, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the guy scored more points than anybody who ever played in the game.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, with that sky hook, baby.
Yeah, and I will tell you this, and you know, and Chucky played up there, but I guarantee you, the players and coaches that been around the NBA and around, they respect him. They understand what he's done.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the GOAT is Monty Williams, baby. Coach of the year, Monty Williams, for what he did. That's my answer to this. He took a team that was in the toilet bowl a year ago, turned them into an undefeated bubble team, Chuck, and then beat my proven championship Lakers ball club, man. You got to tip your hat off to him and call him the GOAT from now on, Monty Williams. We can't hear you. Did you?
Chuck? Yeah, I agree. Back on that Kareem, I agree with Double A is saying. I think that magic with the TV in prime time, I think that took a, you know, because that was basically Magic team, you know?
Yeah, and his game wasn't flashy. I mean, you know, he was going to shoot the hook. Have any of you guys ever just messed around and went out with your kids or at a basket and tried to shoot the hook shot?
That's tough.
Okay.
I don't even understand how he was so accurate.
Not only is it hard, he would do it from about 15 or 20 feet out. Right. He wouldn't just shoot that in the paint. He's shooting that at the top of the key. I mean, that is an unbelievable shot.
Yeah.
Oh man, stop it, Double A. There you go with that Miami foolishness. Take that off the screen, MB.
Stop hating, man.
James
Stop hating.
Jones built. James Jones from the U built the Phoenix team.
Stop
man,
hating.
Stop it, man.
Stop
Hey,
hating. Stop
hey,
hating.
That's Money Williams every day of the week, man.
Speaking
Stop
of
it.
colleges,
James Jones
man, how do you
teamwork,
feel
baby.
about your guy Coach K stepping down?
Hey, that's later on in the show. Brad Stevens wins big in the loss to Brooklyn, y'all. You know Brad say the Celtics lost, but I won. He ends up becoming president of basketball operations, and over there, that includes being the general manager. How do you go from being, I mean, you talking about he had Kyrie with the group he had with Jason Tatum and I always forget the other guy's name.
Jaylen Brown?
Who?
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown. How do you go from having that trio and a group of role guys and you fail again all the way up to the general manager, president of basketball operations position? How do you do that?
Yeah, that's an unbelievable deal for him. And of the historic Boston Celtic franchise, might I add.
Right.
But
Right.
they were, and I understand he did fail, or if you want to say fail by not winning a championship, if that's how we want to determine fail. But his team was young, man, when he got him. I mean, those dudes were young, and he built them, and they stayed competitive.
Yep.
And he had some injuries, so he did a good job. And when he got beat, I mean, and I can't remember exactly, but I bet you if we go back to when he got beat and who he got beat by, like this year, they got beat by the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I mean,
none of that counts, though. Orlando, you know better than that.
I definitely hear what you're saying.
On W's and L's, and that's depending on, and especially at that level, depending on what your roster looks like, and sometimes depending on who you are, they don't care about your roster either.
Yeah, I agree with that, Caleb, and I think the coach in me is protecting him a little bit. The former coach in me. But I mean, obviously you get paid for wins and losses in that league.
Because who else survives that? I'll put it that way. Who survives that? Like, not only get a raise, but who survives what he just did?
Yeah, well,
like he turned this year into a laughing stock. Last year was a huge disappointment. The year before was when they made the run. Okay, so we'll give them that. And then the year before that, we're just praising them because they're relevant again. Like, how does that happen?
When he becomes the president of basketball operations.
That's what I'm saying.
The funny thing, I saw somebody tweet this. So he basically told the University of Indiana, I would rather not coach than coach at Indiana.
Right.
That's basically what he did. Because he's not coaching. I mean, and again, this didn't happen overnight.
Right.
He didn't wake up one morning and say, okay, I don't want to coach. They've been talking about this. This has been in plan. So when Indiana went after him, he had no intentions on going to Indiana, I'm sure, obviously.
Right.
And let's think about this too, Orlando. You look at the Celtics and Danny Ainge stepping down. So you look at Danny Ainge stepping down, and what do you say to that? You say Danny Ainge probably had a whole lot to do because he was handpicked by Danny Ainge to come there.
Yes.
So Danny Ainge probably had a whole lot to do with him getting this, taking over, being his successor. Now, what is Danny Ainge saying? Is he saying Brad Stevens is the actual person that built the team? And so sharp that he can't coach him, but he can sure pick him? Like, or it, like, I'm trying to find the logic in Danny Ainge besides brother-in-law ball.
So, Caleb, a lot of that has to, we don't know how much ownership had to play in this. Because when they hired Brad, and I can't remember which owner it was, but there was one of their owners was really high on Brad, becoming the head coach there. And so really and truly, we don't know if behind closed doors it was, hey, Danny, you're stepping down and we're bringing Brad up. If he
like he out of control on this bench, we got to have him in the front office. That's what I mean. How do they spin that to Danny? if that happened that way, how do they spin that to Danny?
Right.
Man, he's killing it over here. When Danny ain't gave him nothing but Eastern Conference championship type rosters. Let's just tell it what it is. Now, whether they win or not should be up to Brad, but I thought Brad did there what he did at Butler. Made them relevant and stayed consistent right there.
Yeah.
That ain't good enough when you had a storied franchise. We'd have been got rid of him in LA. You know, if you here down here, sorry y'all, love y'all, the Magic, then that's a winning formula.
Right.
Down here in Orlando with the Magic, that's a winning formula. But there should be no room for that in a storied franchise like the Celtics.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're a team that they want banners. I mean, at the end of the day, they want to hang a banner up. And I guess his quote, one of the owners quotes,
18 banner or die.
Yeah, get the 18th banner or die type deal. So
since not with him, y'all wasn't acting like that.
Well, that's the plan, K-Lou.
He never got charged with that.
Now he's the guy in total charge. So he's gonna handpick the coach and the staff and put the team together. So it's all on his shoulders now.
Right.
Well, Mark Jackson about to get a call? Just kidding. Can Brad Stevens recruit for the Celtics or even keep Tatum and Jaylen Brown happy? Like, because the story came out a couple weeks ago, they questioned Doc Rivers about that whole KG type thing. Or no, sorry, I read an article that was an old article. It just happened. I read it a couple weeks ago, but it was Doc talked about how tough it was when he got there to recruit there. So that's what came right back into my mind with Brad Stevens moving up, Kyrie giving them bad publicity. You had Smart co-sign on that bad publicity. Other NBA players spoke out about it. A few things of like D Brown told his story about when he first got there. Is this a perfect storm for now? Who can we even attract? And with this move like this, that I feel like Tatum and Jaylen Brown had nothing to do with, because you saw Tatum not trying to get Evan the one that played Ohio State. He's first round pick. I think number 2.
Evan Turner.
Evan Turner, yeah. He started hollering his name. And Evan said, "Get that heat off me." So my question is, right then and there, will they be able to keep them happy? Because you see Jason Tatum trying to throw his name in the hat for, y'all need to come see me before y'all pick it.
Right. Well, first of all, that's the nature of the NBA now. That's the world that we live in, that all these guys, want their hands in. And you know what? I can speak to both sides on why they should be involved and to why they shouldn't be involved. But I want to go back to your, the stigma on Boston. They've always got good players. And it's been happening since Bill Russell was there. Right. I mean, Bill Russell will tell you.
He talks about it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. He had times when he had issues at his home. So this is nothing new.
Right.
Do I still think they will be able to attract guys? Yeah, I do. Certain guys. Right. It may limit now to who they can get, but at the end of the day, it's still the Celtics. And what's been going on in Boston has been going on for a long time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. MB, you got anything to say on that?
No, I agree with him. I think especially when you talk about Tatum and Brown, two young talent, Then I think Marcus Smart got one more year left, and Kimber Walker, based on his health, I think those they definitely can get some guys, right? But it's obviously a bit of a challenge. That's all I got to say to that.
Well, I'm gonna shift topics again. Does the Greek Freak stand a chance against Brooklyn, y'all, or are they just too on fire right now?
Did any of you guys have any stats? Because I'm just curious, how many points a game did the Milwaukee average this year? Because
I don't know. I was
now.
looking at them. I know they had a balance. They're one of the few balanced teams, offense and defense. They're really good, but I don't know what they average. I know Brooklyn, just historically, is the most efficient offense in NBA history. Efficient offense.
So I'm sorry. I just looked it up. They're averaging 118 points a game.
Right.
Guys, that ain't enough.
but defensively, though, they're good as well.
I mean, that ain't enough. Well, you know what? I agree with you. I do think they have a really good defensive team. And I think, but guys, we're talking Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, three big-time one-on-one players that can create and make the game easy for other guys. Like, you've got to score 130 to beat them.
Yeah.
And 118, that's not going to get it. So, I don't see, and I'd say this too. I think as this thing goes forward, now Brooklyn's not a good defensive team, and they'll never be. Right. Steve Nash is not a defensive guy. D'Antoni on his bench is not a defensive guy. That's not their DNA. But I do think that they will tighten it up as it keeps going, as they keep advancing, and become a little better defensively. And all they have to do is become a little better.
Right.
Because they're scoring 130 or more.
Right.
So I think I said that I didn't think Brooklyn would win it. I thought they would make it to the finals, but not win it. But I don't see how Milwaukee can beat them.
I definitely agree, Orlando. I mean, for all the things you've mentioned, and especially because of this, my whole issue with Brooklyn was they couldn't win because I didn't think Kyrie would buy into not being the true point guard. Well, I have to apologize. He's bought in.
Yeah,
he allowed James Harden to take over. James Harden, I told you guys, he was the least person you had to worry about because his nature is to create for everybody else. And I always went back to when he played with KD and Westbrook. Both of those guys loved playing with him. They didn't so much care about playing with each other, but they loved playing with him because he gonna find you and drop dimes. And even when everybody's like he was too ball dummy, a ball hog, he averaged 10 assists a year during those seasons. So
yeah, I think that 10 assists is a little probably overhyped because of the usage. He had the ball in his hand so much. But I agree with you. Now, the Kyrie deal, if you look back to when they won in Cleveland and when he was playing with LeBron, he always played off the ball.
But that's why he left Orlando. Right.
Well,
that was the thing.
Yeah, that's why he left.
There you go.
At a young age, and he had some outside influences telling him you need to be the point, you need to do that, and now look what he's doing again.
Right, exactly. But that's what I thought would happen.
Where he's successful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's not, but that was my whole argument. He wouldn't bow down essentially or give the ball up to James Harden because if he plays point, there's not enough balls on the floor.
No.
But with James Harden, whose numbers have taken a drop? James Harden. He cares nothing about numbers. Houston forced him into that stuff. That's not his nature, guys.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I was watching the game the other night, and he's moving the ball around, he's passing it, but when they needed him to score it, he turned it
on. And guys, if you go right back again, and I tell y'all, man, go right back to when he was young. He did the same thing. He was just averaging 15, but it was the same type of 15. Like, hey, I'm going to drop a dime here, drop there, feed you, do this. Okay, y'all need a bucket? I got you.
Right. So Orlando. So who you mentioned about the points and they're not scoring enough points. I mean, right now, who can beat them?
Whew, man, that's
who's built to beat them. I mean, because Philly right now, Joe Embiid, he's got a meniscus tear, so I don't know if that's a medial or lateral. If it's a lateral, it's going to be more time. You know, if it's a medial, you probably could do that. But I mean, who can beat them then if you're saying that they ain't got enough offense? You know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not sure if anybody in the East could beat them. I'm not sure if they can. I mean, I would say Utah and Phoenix will give them a run, but
and why?
Again, those guys don't score a ton either.
Yeah,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It was one team for them, and I get what Orlando's saying, because Orlando's saying Utah defensively will stagnate them at times.
Yeah, so Utah's averaging 100. They're averaging 123 a game now.
Right, and they're good at 3-pointers.
Right, they will be tough.
And they got Rudy in the middle, and he's got So
right, so he can protect the rim. So they're probably built the best built team to beat them. If Embiid doesn't play, although Embiid's not a big rim protector. I mean, he's capable of shot block, but that's not who he is. Right. If Embiid doesn't play, I'm not sure if Philly can do it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Who's gonna? Because right now they're going small ball lineup. They got Durant at the 5,
and that's gonna kill Rudy Gobert. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I was gonna go back to the Utah situation. Like, when they go to putting KD at the 5 or even the 4 and bringing another guard in the game, like, you know what I'm saying? And essentially, you playing 5 around the perimeter. Who's Rudy gonna guard? And then it's easy to guard him. So you know what I'm saying? He's not punishing you and making. See, that was the issue with Shaq. Shaq always made you respect him, because although you might put him in a situation, you still got to use 2 to guard him on the other end.
Right.
Nobody's been able to really do that, and that's why the death of the big man has occurred. But that's a whole nother conversation.
And so, with that said,
do you think the Freak can make them do that? To some degree, or with Durant, you know what I'm saying?
No, they can single him, MB, because he's not even the guy he was a year ago.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I don't think he can. I don't think the Greek Freak can do that. I do want to go back to Utah with him, and the only way that I see, and obviously defensively they're a good defensive team, but the only way I could see Utah, if they wind up going small with a guy like George Niang at the 5. And now Niang can make threes, and they spread the floor, and they can make more threes, over the course. But if that doesn't happen, they're in trouble.
So, K. Lewis, sound like you changed your opinion. First year team can get it done.
Oh, Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Well, I think because of the Lakers being put out, I never thought. I always thought that they would struggle with Milwaukee. But the reason, MB, you got to remember, I always put it all on Kyrie, though. That was my thing. I didn't think that he would do what he's now doing. And that's saying, I can go back to being a dog out here? Go ahead, James. Handle that thing. And that's what he's done. So it's been – I didn't think they'd be successful because I didn't think Kyrie could be a Robin again, because that's what he knows. I mean, that's what's gonna happen. Like, when they look for a star, I'm telling y'all who's gonna get the star tag. When everybody start analyzing, this is James Harden's show. James Harden gonna be walking around there with MVP hardware, guys. Sorry, I'm telling you right now. KD is super consistent, but KD's still doing doing the same thing we all know he can do: score. That's it. He's doing nothing else. There's one guy on that team doing everything and orchestrating what's going on. And he's going to be the one wearing the hardware. So, MB, Kind of, but I'm wrong about Kyrie, is what I really say. I was wrong about him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Harden. I mean, Harden, to me, he makes it all fit, just because. And you saw it with the few games where they played 8 to 11 games they played together collectively. But, at one point, he was MVP talk of the league. He was playing so good. And he was like, I say this loosely. Well, I'll just say triple doubles he was averaging and stuff, when he was at the point getting it done. And early on, they made that decision. Like Kyrie's like, yo, I'm gonna play that too, and they did well. So, I mean, for them to be the number one efficient offense in NBA history and only play 8 to 11 games together,
and,
just they hopefully it'll be gelling at the right time.
Well, it's scary, MB. With you saying that, that's absolutely scary because what you telling us is we haven't even seen their best. That's what you said every time you come out your mouth with that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and Milwaukee, I think with Milwaukee with the Greek, and then they got, I think they're structural. I mean, good balanced team, so they're going to put them to the test. But I mean, this may be their toughest test right now, especially Joe Embiid is out. This may be their toughest one.
All right, going back out west, will Dallas close the series tonight, fellas? Is it a wrap?
Man.
You said the Clippers were in trouble, Orlando. Is this it? Or are they gonna force a game 7?
Is this
it? This game is in Dallas.
I don't know.
Not sure.
If it's in Dallas, I think Dallas will win it.
It should be in LA, I think.
Now, if it's in LA, excuse me,
is the format? Usually, the format was it used to be what you play 2, and then you alternate the last 3. Is that the format? Let me check.
Yeah, I'm. If it's
no, it's at Dallas.
This at Dallas, I think they can close it out.
It's at Dallas.
I think.
Now, how have they been able to do this? I mean, is Luka really just that special? Because they haven't gotten any help from Kristaps Porzingis, KP.
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you that I think Luka is that special, but I'm gonna say more of the Clippers. I think it's more of them self-destructive than it is what Dallas is doing. Now, and listen, Rick Carlisle is one of the best coaches to ever coach the game. So I'm not saying that, but I was never a huge fan of the Paul George, Kawhi Leonard tandem. Their point guard situation I was always iffy on, and it was just a deal where I think it's more the Clippers.
So let's dig deeper into that, MB. Orlando, do you take those two guys? Obviously, Kawhi can opt out after this season. People forget and they say, oh, he's opting out, he's leaving. Remember, LeBron did this as a way to continue to get paid more money. So I'm not, definitely thinking he's leaving just because he structured his deal this way. But do you think he's out of there now? If so, where does he go? And
wow, man. So now you got me with a conspiracy theory head on. But so first of all, I'm gonna say this: I understand LA was home for him,
right?
To go back home, he's in LA, he's in there. But when you really know him, when you really watch him, he ain't an LA dude,
right?
That don't fit him. That don't fit his lifestyle. That don't fit who he is. He's more of a quiet. Out of the, he was great in San Antonio. He goes up to Toronto. He's really good there. Like, I could see him leaving. I really can. I could see him leaving.
And where would you think he's going? I saw rumors Golden State.
Well, I don't know who has the money. I mean, that's going to be, guys. That's not going to be a deal where we could sit here and say, maybe we could sit here and say what team will he fit the best. But that's going to be a total money deal. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Heat because they were trying to structure this thing to get the Greek Freak. And then the Greek Freak re-signed at Milwaukee. I think the Heat has money or has the capabilities, let me say this, has the capability of creating space to sign him.
And that's a good point. But I like what you're saying. What would be the best fit? And when we talk about best fit, we talk about obviously we put them in the best position to win the championship. What would that be? Would it be the Heat? What team would that be, Orlando, if you had to put your general manager head on?
You know, I like the Heat. I like him. I like him in Miami. I tell you what, depending on what else happens in free agency and what happens in the draft, I like him in New York. I like him as a Knicks. Now I know I said the whole LA deal isn't him.
Right.
I like the roster. I like the team, the roster makeup, the Thibodeau effect. I mean, Kawhi's a good defender. You know, and you got to force him to defend, but when you do, he does. He did in San Antonio. Forced him to defend. He's a really good defender there, and not taking anything away from Doc and Ty Lue. And I'm not watching their games enough to really bash him there, but I do believe he's a better defender in San Antonio than he is right now. So I think those places are good for him. You know, as a contender, and then obviously Golden State. I mean, Golden State's going to be good, and you know, if he goes to Golden State, he don't have to be the guy. He could just be quiet and just do his thing and be really good at it. So I think that's a good fit.
Yeah,
Man, yeah, that's a great fit for him. I think that's probably the best fit for him. I don't know how. I guess Golden State figures out a way to make that happen again. I mean, with two max guys and a darn near max guy.
Again, at that point, I was talking just total fit. I wasn't talking. I don't know the construction of the roster yet.
Okay.
And money.
Yeah.
Well, I heard somebody say as far as because Wiggins, they trade him, you know, sign and trade, all this stuff, trying to make it work. And then right now, because Golden State, you're right, they're one of the highest rosters, salary and luxury tax and all that stuff. So, you know, who knows? But yeah. Oh, but K. Ludo, he been getting some heat. They've been blaming him a little bit, huh? They've been putting a blame on Kawhi. Statistically, he's been doing well, showing up, but he's been getting some heat. Your boy Stephen A. was on him. Some articles came out. You know, what's your thoughts on that, K-Lou?
I think what happened was he was exposed by Rajon Rondo. I think is what happened. Early on, I think Rondo made a comment in the beginning of the season, not the beginning of the season, but when he first got there from Atlanta, when they traded him, he said something to Kawhi, and I'm gonna blow this, but basically it ended up being an interaction between Rondo and Kawhi. And basically Kawhi was like, I'm not that guy, which meant to Rondo, wow, like you're not a leader. You know, it was a situation where he felt like he should have stood up and kind of owned it, and he didn't. He walked away. He did, you know, kind of what Orlando was alluding to earlier. Like, he's not that dude. Do not give him that leadership mantle. MB, you discussed it last year. You felt like that was their number one reason. That your leaders are coming off the bench. Like, how does that work? That's never going to work. You talked about that last year when you was asking who the leadership is. So Kawhi, that's why when you spoke about Golden State, like, man, that just works for him. He could disappear. Yeah. And I think that's when he's at his best. Because if you look at, he got all the credit, right? Obviously not in San Antonio. His legend grows the more we get further from what he did in San Antonio. It's the weirdest thing in the world for me. They act like those big three weren't there.
Right.
They made him a big three after he left. He became a big four, but they act like he was a big three while he was there. He was never that. But in Toronto, guys, we forget they had a leadership structure already. And he came in and just, it was plug and play. And he could be quiet, do his load management. And them guys were a machine. Look at what they did even this year. early on before they ran into a few problems, they were still that same machine. Last year rather, especially in the playoffs, they still made a run. Like they were just built like that. Kawhi just added a little extra. Go ahead, Orlando.
Hey Lou, I wanted to say, and it slipped my mind, but when he was at Toronto, Kyle Lowry was the guy.
There it is.
The leader of that team. He's
right.
a dog. Yeah, I mean, an unbelievable leader, dog, strong presence in the locker room.
Right.
This is how we're going to do it. Kawhi's more of a follower. He's a great follower.
Right.
And he's a great teammate like that, but he's not the guy that's going to lead you out the tunnel and say, you know, guys, this is
let's go get him. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, that ain't your Maximus. And it's funny you say that because I'll go back to Pac Jam and I having our talk when Kyle Lowry, when they was talking about maybe moving him after they won the title.
Right.
And it was a little rumbling. I said, and when Kawhi made the decision to go to Clippers, I was like, please don't say it, Kyle. We was going to be in trouble. I was never afraid of Kawhi. I was terrified of Kyle Lowry.
Right.
No doubt. Yeah.
So finally, man, Phoenix gonna suit up again, but they gonna play the Joker, the MVP, the Joker. My prediction already, they bye. They spent all they fight. You know, Chris Paul, obviously that shoulder ain't gonna get any better. It's just gonna continue to decline. Denver gonna beat Phoenix.
Yeah, you know what? So I'm going to agree with you there. I think Denver will win the series. I think it'll go 7 though. If Jamal Murray was playing,
right,
I don't think it would be. I wouldn't question it. But without Murray, it's going to go 7. I think. But I agree with you. I think the Joker is just he's just too good, man. He's too much, and he can do, I guess, opposite of what you want with LeBron. He can play the point position from the center and the.
That's why I want LeBron right there.
Yeah. Right.
LeBron need to go work out with the Joker. Remember, everybody go work out with a king. Go work out with the Joker, man. No, LeBron, let those little guys bring the ball up. Of course, they're giving it to you. Now you call the play.
Right.
Yeah, and then finally, it is for both of y'all. LB, you got to jump in this. Is Dame Dollar the perennial? I ain't going nowhere. Portland, my city. I'm gonna do it here. Is he not ready to leave?
I don't know. It seemed like I mean, especially the kid. I mean, he go to work, bro. I mean, he goes to work, and you want him to. It's kind of like AI. You want him to at least taste how it feel to play in it. For a championship when he's in his prime. And you know how AI led Philly to the championship, but they lost. But you at least want him to get over that hump, man, and not waste his talent. If we're measuring by championships. So I don't know. It makes it a little more difficult now because now he's about to hit that super max deal, part of his contract, And but yeah, for me, man, as a fan, you want to see him go join a winner, drop that 0 and get with a hero. You want to see him do that because you love the way he played, man. Like I always talk about, like if you were Shaq's size, Shaq played the way, like you was like, boy, if I was 7'2", 300-pound man, I'd be dunking all the time, and that's the way Shaquille played,
Right.
But when you look at Dame, man, if I had those skills, you'll be playing like Dame. Dame plays hard, man. You know what I'm saying? And he comes ready to play, and he led on the line. So you just feel for him, and your heart go out for him. And you just hope, man, that either Portland will do some razzle-dazzle, bring a better supporting cast around them, or they'll just do the right things. You'd be like, man, bye, Felicia. We got to do right by you, man. We got to send you to a championship. But I don't know the dude personally. I don't know. And based on what he said about when Durant went to Golden State. So he would have to eat his words. You know, if he's saying, man, tell Portland go trade him to a championship team, that'll be tough.
What you think, Orlando?
Yeah, I agree with his personality. You know, would he do that? But I do feel this way. I do feel that, you know, he's the type of guy that's going to go knock on the GM's door and shut the door and say, "Hey, brother, we got to talk. Like, you got to figure out who we get. It ain't Carmelo. And Carmelo ain't the answer. Yeah.
On the table. We got to talk. We got to talk.
Exactly. He's going to walk in there like that. And they're going to have to figure something out because, like Mike said, I mean, you know, he's wasting some prime with years of, man, just laying it all out on the line to get them there. And, you know, they're the 6th seed this year. And, you know, will it be the 7th seed next year?
Right.
They're just going to be in that mix. And so, you know, I'm not sure if he can ever get over the hump, but I can tell you this, he is definitely going to have that meeting. It's coming.
Now, guys, and I'll say this about him. When I see Dame Dollar out there, I'm reminded of, and I'm not saying there's a Michael Jordan right now in this era. I'm not saying that. But remember when Mike used to be playing over there in the East, and then we'll get the ESPN highlights of the West Coast games that next day, and you saw a dude out there doing dunks that wasn't quite Michael S, but they was so nice. and he might not hit 38, but he'll hit 28. And then they got together and played together and won. Ron Harper. That's what I'm in the mindset of when I think about Dame Dollar, that Ron was just wasting away with the Clippers, as usual, the Clippers. Wasting away over there his talent. And then at the end of his career, he got to smell what victory was all about when he joined the Bulls. And I'm just hoping that Dame Dollar, it don't come to that, to being that late where you're a shell of yourself. Because remember, Ron was an integral part because he was able to play that point guard position, remember, for them in that triangle. But when we talk about those teams, we don't talk about Ron Harper. And I'm hopefully that ain't Dame Dollar's story.
I don't know. I see him more like AI if he stay at Portland, you know?
Well, AI got to play, though. He got to play in the
championship, and that was it. But I see him if he stay at Portland, then I just see
he ain't gonna get that. So that's why what I was thinking you were saying.
But then you remember, like I remember, like I don't know if AI had something to do with it, but I remember the All-Star game. Him and Dikembe Mutombo did well. They ended up trading for him. They got to do something for Dame, you know.
Right.
They got to do something for Dame.
Because even if
that's what I mean, and that's what and you said it. I mean, and I love the way you said it. He's gonna walk in and put the pistol on the table, but he's gonna walk in and say, "Hey guys, we're gonna do something."
Yeah.
Man, well, we appreciate you, Orlando, coming and joining us as usual, man. We always have a fantastic time. Sorry you ain't get to go back and forth with Chuck more. That joker stay in the gym too much. When you be in these schools around here, it ain't no service. When I saw those bleachers behind him, I knew he was in trouble. These schools attack their service because the kids tried to use it all the time.
Right.
Hey, before you go, just quick thought. It's 7:07. What's your thought on the Atlanta? We talked about AI with Philly, but what's your thoughts on the Orlando Hawks series? Who's got it? Just quick.
The Atlanta Philly series. Yeah, I'm going with Philly. I think. Oh
wow.
I think Atlanta has obviously a superstar in Trae Young in terms of the media, the excitement that he's going to bring to the game. Like he's got a chance to be that next AI type guy where all the kids are going to just totally fall in love with him because of everything he can do. But ultimately, I don't think they're not in a position right now. They're not ready. They're not experienced enough to be able to beat Philly. And you know, even without Embiid, but if Embiid comes back, I don't think they can do it. But I will say this, man, unbelievable job Nate McMillan's done. I mean, unbelievable.
Another coach got removed after balling. You know, he went out. You know, to me, balling and coaching is the same thing. When he did in Indiana and got released from that situation, I'm like, what? Man, y'all ain't even got nobody over there. This dude still getting y'all to the playoffs and he going home.
Hey, K-Lou, why he didn't get named the president?
Oh,
home cooking, baby.
Basketball, president of basketball operations, baby. Get him, Brad. MB, put the money in the bag.
Put the money in the bag, baby. Still it.
Hey, that was one of the things. That's an inside joke, Orlando. Guys used to say that to guys who done got a great deal.
Yeah.
We proud of him, but we want you to know you stole it. We're not mad that you got it, but you stole it.
Still it.
So that's what we said to them. In their face, Orlando, put the money in the bag. Well, again, Orlando, thanks a lot for coming through, man.
Thanks, appreciate you, man.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me, man. Y'all take care.
Really enjoyed you, bro.
Thank y'all again for hollering at us, pulling up, coming through, hollering at us, because you know it's MB from sideline to baseline with MB and K. Lou. Y'all, we are gone.
Peace.